So, welcome to the basics of Fusion 360. In this video, I'll be teaching you about extrusions and how to revolve, which is essentially an extrusion in a circle. So, the first thing we're going to do is create a sketch on a plane. Doesn't really matter which one. If you haven't seen my video on sketches, you might want to stop watching this video, go and watch that one, and then come back and finish this one. So, after we create a sketch, we're going to create a square, let's say 25 by 25. Press Finish Sketch. And then up here, in the toolbar, you'll see Extrude. And you'll also be able to see it in this drop-down menu. It will be the fifth one down. It'll say Extrude. And the third way you can get to it is if you press E on your keyboard. It'll just take you directly to this menu right here. And the way you can extrude is by pulling this arrow up or down, and that will give you a measurement of how far you want to pull it in or out. Let's say 25 millimeters. You can enter that here, or you can pull it up or down to that measurement. And the third way you can do that is by coming to this drop-down menu, and it will say distance, and you can enter it here as well. Let's say I want it at 50. And you'll want to have it as a new body, and that will be how you pull your 2D sketch into 3 dimensions. And under this operations tab, there'll be new body, join, cut, and intersect, and I'll be going over all those in this video. So you don't have to worry about the taper angle, it doesn't really matter. But direction is another one that will affect the way you're going to extrude it. So one side is you just pull it in one direction. 2 sides is you pull it in 2 directions, using that sketch you created as the origin, I guess you would say, of where you're pulling it out of. So on this side, I have 25 pulled out on the bottom and 50 pulled out on the top. And you'll get that here in this menu, and it'll say side 1 is pulled out 50, side 2 is pulled out 25. Now, if you want it symmetric on both sides, that's where you go to the third menu where it says symmetric, and that will just pull it out equally on both sides. You can see here how this sketch remains in the middle, and it just pulls out evenly. So for this example, I'm just going to choose one side and 25 millimeters to make it a cube. So now we have this cube, and all we did was create a sketch and extrude it. Taking that 2-dimensional input and creating a 3-dimensional object. Now, the other most common way you're going to be using an extrusion is to cut into an object or remove material from it. So imagine like you have a piece of wood and you drill a hole into it, you're removing material from the block of wood. So, for example, if this were a block of wood, you would create a circle, say 10 millimeters. And you can dimension that by pressing D. I also go over that in my sketches video. Finish sketch. And if you press E on your keyboard and you select that circle you just drew, you can cut a hole into that object as if you were drilling a hole into a piece of wood. And for this example, it doesn't matter how far you pull it out, and it also doesn't matter if it's one side or 2 side or symmetric, because either way you're going to end up with a hole cut through the middle, and is 10 millimeters in diameter, and that will be a cut in the operation function, and that will turn red as you view it, and you can see that there is a hole in that object now. And if you press OK, you can see there's a hole. Now, if I wanted to add more material, so let's say just pull a rod out of it, you could create another sketch on this plane, for example, and pull the circle out and have a rod, or you can modify that extrusion you just created by left-clicking on it in the history bar or whatever it is, and you go to Edit Feature. You can turn this cut into a join. If you press OK, you now have a rod coming out of your cube. Now, the way I did it was I created a circle on this plane and extruded it out towards the bottom. But the other way you can do this is if you just create a sketch on this top surface. Well, right here it says it's the bottom, but if you create a sketch on this surface and just pull it out this measurement, you can get the exact same result. Now, the second thing I want to go over in this video is a revolve. And that's when you have a sketch that is, so imagine like drawing a circle with a compass, how you keep one point in a specific place and you rotate the other one around that point. That's essentially what you're doing with a revolve, but it's taking that sketch and extruding it around that circle into 3 dimensions. So, for example, if I created a sketch with a circle, and then I just go to line, I create another circle that is the exact same diameter as this one. I also create a line going through this one that is going to give me an axis through which I can revolve. And you don't want these middle portions because that's going to mess up the revolve, because you only want one side to come around a full 360 degrees and meet the other side of the sketch. So you're going to come to the scissor tool and select trim, and you can just cut away what you don't want. And now once I've finished sketch and I select revolve, and I don't know what the shortcut for revolve is, but I always just come up to this toolbar, select R. If you guys know what it is, you can comment. And if I select this sketch as the profile, and the axis is what I'm going to rotate it around, if I select this, it's going to give me a sphere. That's how you create a sphere in Fusion. Now, it'll come up as a new body, and the angle will be 360 degrees. If you wanted half a sphere, you could enter 180 degrees, and it would only rotate around 180 degrees. You can see that's a semi-sphere, I guess is what it's called. But for this example, I want full rotation, so 360 degrees. Press OK. And now it's going to load, and I have a sphere. Now, that other function I was talking about, how if you have a revolve, you want to open the sketch. Now, here in the operations, what I just did was create a new body. But I don't want for this a new body. I want to intersect, which will give me the area where they intersect. So this will also be a revolve, but it's going to cut away everything that these two spheres don't overlap, if that makes sense. I'll show you in just a minute. So I select this sketch as the profile, the axis, this line I created, and you can see when this is selected to intersect, I get this weird disc shape in which the two spheres overlap and give me this shape. So if I wanted a cut, that would give me the inverse of that shape I just created. So this hole right here, I guess it's an indentation, I guess that's what we would call it, is the opposite of what this intersection is. So if I select OK, You will now see, if I turn the sketch off, it's a disc, I guess, is what you would call it. I'm not sure if the shape has a name. It's just two spheres overlapping, and that's each side of the sphere. So, for example, this side is this sphere on this side from this sketch, and this side is from this sphere. So, that's about all the basics of extruding and revolving in Fusion. If you like this video and want to see more like it, you can subscribe to my channel, click the bell icon to get notices of every time I upload a new video. And if this was helpful, please comment saying how it has helped you to learn Fusion. And if there are any of you out there in the audience that have knowledge about Fusion and want to share, you can also help those in the comments that have questions. That's everything. This is me signing off. Goodbye.